updated everything, so I got to get used to the new styles.
Okay, Dallas, and your internet still sucks, right?
Yep, I'm trying to scroll in our outline and it won't even.
Welcome back, Mighty Vandals, to Tubs in the Club, your University of Idaho affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I'm your host, Brian Marceau, joined today by, if you're watching, not a listener, you can see we got a foursome going on tonight. So big thing. First off, we have Producer Redacted, our man in Moscow, which, by the way, viewers, check out that freshly manicured look by Martin Heemstra. How's it going, dude?
Going good. It's good to be back on the show again after taking the first week off. And yeah, excited to get back. It's almost football season. I know we got some other stuff we're going to talk about first, but I'm excited to be back on.
And also joining us, one of the titans in cybersecurity with the shittiest internet connection on our show, Dallas. Good to see you.
Hey guys, I'm hoping that I am clocking in correctly on time here because my video is just not really working. But that's what happens when you're using a PC that's 12 years old. So someday I will buy a new one, but today is not that day. So hopefully you guys all hear this.
And look, the star of the show today. Look, we've talked before about the importance of the 1889 Collective, and we're here to get today with Tommy Kimmel. Tommy, good to see you. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Tommy, along with Jack Hatton, have they've kind of taken look. The 1889 Collective. We had a show back with Greg Kimberling. It's name, image, likeness collective. Something that's essential at this point in NCAA athletics, and especially if you're a school that did not opt into the House settlement. If you don't have a collective like this, you don't have NIL. So absolutely essential work. But Tommy Kimmel and Jack Hatton, who will probably make cameo appearances at some point later on. Was it spring, summer? You guys joined 1889 because you two were pretty much tasked with getting that collective a website so that it could actually connect with the broader public in a way that was pretty effortless. So I guess the first thing I want to say, Tommy, I want to ask you about is, if you're working for 1889, you're obviously a vandal. So what was your route to becoming a vandal?
Yeah, so I come from deep vandal roots. So my mom was actually raised in Moscow along with her two siblings. So I've been coming to games. My parents met here at the university way back when. So I've been coming to games here since I was a little kid. I remember the last time the Vandals played Boise State in the Kibbe Dome. I was sitting in the front row with all my cousins, and I've been a Vandal for a long time. I took a weird route to get here. I went to UNLV first and played on their golf team down there. And then I made the right decision to come to Moscow, and Moscow is the best place on earth. That's why I'm still here.
Okay, so that's your background. So you're on the golf team. What year did you transfer? Were you sophomore, junior?
I transferred. So I was here my last 2 years. So I was here as my junior and senior year.
Okay, so you went to the Esteemed Community College in Nevada before coming to you. Understood. Okay, and all right, so you graduated 2025, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, class of 2025. So, hey, so fast forward now. That's your connection to Idaho. How did you get connected? When I say connected, I mean actually involved in helping run and trying to push the 1889 collective into its next step.
Yeah. So Jack, obviously, Jack Hatton and I, we were roommates the last year, and he had a relationship with the Kimberling family, and through that, I got to know him. And with Greg being one of the founders of the collective, ultimately, I want to end up in sports agency. And I thought this was a perfect way to kind of learn the ropes. We're both getting our master's degrees here this year. So this was a really, when the opportunity arose, it was pretty hard to say no. And staying in Moscow another year sounded pretty awesome. So pretty tough to turn down.
All right. And so when you joined, I mean, I already said, one of the big things that needed to happen was 1889 needed not just a functional website, but a good website. And, producer seducer in the background, if you would be able to throw that website on so we can scroll through while Tommy's talking about it. I guess so you were the guys like Greg, they essentially gave you and Jack this assignment, correct?
Correct.
Hey, we need a website, so let's go. So I mean, your background, I'm not sure if it's computer science or not, so I mean, just tell me how that process was.
Yeah, so Jack and I's background is definitely not computer science. So it was definitely an interesting task. We went through Wix, you name it, anything you could, GoDaddy to make a website, and landed on Squarespace. And we got a little tutorial on it and how to use it and everything. But once we got it going, we definitely had a lot of long nights trying to get it all figured out. But we were really happy with the product that we came out with it. And it's going to be continually expanding. So what we have right now is amazing, and we're just going to continually build it out over the next year and that kind of stuff. So anything you need or have any questions NIL wise, we're hoping to have it on this website. And you can donate straight to it. You'll be able to follow us on social media on there, rundown of NIL. We're really happy with what we built, and we're going to continue to improve it.
So one of the questions I get a lot from people who are, because unless you're super into college athletics, if you're a casual fan, you hear it, NIL, name, image, and likeness. You get that it's money. You get that, hey, we need people to help out. But the number one question I've got from people who are kind of interested is, because it's just something new, I believe a lot of people just kind of assume it's confusing or complex, or you need to donate lots of money to get started. I guess, what do you guys, as far as, the collective needs people to donate, that's how it functions. But hey, let's pretend you're talking to someone who knows nothing about a collective and wants to be involved. I mean, just spell it out. What do you need to have do you need to be making big dollar donations? Is it a complex process? What does the average person need to do to get involved?
So really, to get involved, so we have it set up on our website where you can donate to any sport. So if you click on that general fund button, it will come down with a drop-down menu where you can pick to donate to any single sport that you want. And we have monthly, quarterly, annually, one-time donations also that are set up. And all of this goes into the team's fund. So what this all does is like, it's one fund or to team, but we are not looking to be Alabama or Oregon, right? We don't, that 22.5 million cap that a lot of those schools have, very different here at Idaho. So, I mean, every bit helps. So whether it's, $18.89 a month or it's $100,000, every little piece helps because, and what we're really trying to do is we're trying to retain talent and attract top talent that we have the means to. And we really don't want to be losing a recruiting battle, to Portland State, Montana, or Montana State, because we're really fighting over a lot of the same pools of kids. So, and we really do feel here down in Moscow that if we have the ability to offer a kid the same number that say Montana or Montana State are, we feel really confident that they are going to pick Moscow or to stay in Moscow, because for one, it's an amazing place and you do get, top level competition. You do get to compete for a national championship year in and year out, especially in football.
That was something that we've talked about on the show before, that it's felt with the roster turnover the last few years that it has been, hey, look, guys are aware coming to Moscow that they're not going to make 2 commas every year. They're going to be lucky to make 1 comma a year, and if they can get up into 5 figures, hey, that's really good for Moscow, Idaho. So that is huge to just try to help that roster retention, as we've seen. Just this level of football is just changing over and over and over. But when you guys announced this new website a couple months ago, I jumped on immediately and I was able to donate in less than 3 minutes. It's like signing up for a Netflix subscription or anything else. I know that the folks watching are able to see the website, but really, guys, if you're listening in right now, Idaho1889collective.com. It's Idaho1889collective.com. I promise you, it takes less than 5 minutes to do it, and honestly, less than 3 if you've got your credit card handy. It is extraordinarily easy to just set it up, and I set it up as a monthly donation just to, again, put it in as one of those monthly bills every month, just coming in and giving that little bit back to the university, specifically to help. I mean, it doesn't go to the university, but going back to the players to help try to win some championships in football.
Yeah, to stress how easy it is, while Tommy was answering and Dallas was finishing up, I made 2 donations on behalf of Tubbs at the club, a $250 donation plus fees to football, $250 donation plus fees to women's basketball. That legitimately was 3 minutes. It takes absolutely no effort whatsoever. So if you're a person who, if you can afford to, of course, and you're on the fence, just go to, and we can blast this up again. Just go to the Idaho1889collective.com website. It's hard to stress how unbelievably simple the process is. So first one, Tommy, thank you for making idiot proof enough that Grandpa Brian, which that's in our hashtag Tubbs only Tubbs Discord, patreon.com/Tubbs Club Sports Show. I'm officially known as Grandpa Brian. Seriously, took no effort whatsoever. We've also had patrons who asked us, like, hey, is Tubbs going to get involved in this? And our answer was always like, yeah, give us a minute. And we just wanted to donate online so that while recording, to try to reinforce. You guys obviously didn't see anything. It is unbelievably easy. The barrier to entry is you being able to manually type into the very simple website. So phase 1, Tommy, thanks for your work there on putting together a website that's pretty damn simple. Separate question I have for you. You hit on a little bit of this, that the goal for Idaho, Idaho knows who Idaho is in the landscape of NCAA football, but that doesn't mean that Idaho is going to sit on its hands, or at least the people like you are going to sit on your hands when NIL matters. Do you guys have any specific goals of like what type of funding per year you're trying to look for? Or I guess I'll let you take the reins to that. I know you answered it like in kind of a descriptive sense, but I'm curious, do you guys have any very specific numbers where in your mind, this is what Idaho needs to try to hit each year to make this work?
Yeah, we definitely have we have some specific numbers for sure. And we're working towards those every single day. I mean, I can tell you Jack and I and, Greg, Bill, and Dave, we're all calling every single day, trying to, get people to rally around this because, it's a really important thing now. And, it's the new age of college athletics. And I know it's very different than the past, but it is very much the new age of college athletics. And it's a huge driving force, especially in the FCS. It's a huge and very powerful tool that, to give our teams here at Idaho the opportunity to, build an NIL budget for their teams for one, but be able to keep players around longer and be able to just have that opportunity to be able to do so.
So have Thomas Ford in his initial press conference, he was announced as head coach. He talked about his background with NIL at Oregon State, being Oregon State was using NIL as a tool for retention, not to recruit guys. Mm-hmm. And presumably that's what he's going to continue doing. At the level you organize at, do you talk with individual coaches about like what their philosophies are, or are you guys more of a phase one? We get the money, we're working to get the money. The coaches handle that on their own. How does that work?
I would say we're definitely very involved with the coaches. With Jack Hatton, obviously being an alumni of the basketball team, we spend a lot of time with Coach Pribble and Coach Laird, Ellis, all those guys that are in there. We collaborate with them very closely. I was in the Kibbie Dome today for a good amount of time talking with some people in there, and spent a lot of time with the football team and, coordinating different things. And we really do work very closely with them, which it's very fun and exciting. And I mean, there's no better coaching staff than the University of Idaho football team. And I work very closely with the basketball team as well. All great guys. And we very collaborative whenever we have, kind of bouncing ideas off each other all the time and making sure we're collaborating in the right way and make sure we're building this all together.
So when you talk to people about donating, do you get much, from, I guess, the average person you guys are talking to, do you get resistance? Do you get people excited? Do you get people confused? Like, what's your experience in doing public outreach related to the collective itself?
Yeah, I would definitely say, for people that aren't, extremely, tapped into the college athletics landscape right now, NIL is kind of a surprise, which completely understandable. I mean, no one saw this coming, right? It's very foreign concept, but I would say that there's a lot of good excitement about it. I would say that we have seen a lot of good excitement. Jack and I were down at the Buell Pig Out the other week, and we had a ton of great responses and a lot of people kind of rallying around the cause and being excited for it because, it is such a huge tool for our athletics programs. And, it's an investment in the future. So when we kind of, talk about it being a huge investment into the future of athletics and, keeping the Kibbie Dome packed and getting some more people in the ICCU, people love hearing that. And there's nothing better than seeing the Kibbie Dome packed on Saturdays. And this is one of the tools that we can use to make sure that continues to happen.
What has the feedback been like, Tommy, from getting out there and doing the engagement, talking to other Vandals? It's not confusing to the people that listen to the show, as we've talked about the collective a lot, but for the people that are not the diehards, the people that don't listen in to this, what's the messaging been like, and how's it been for you, kind of getting people to understand like what the collective does, how it's different than the Vandal Scholarship Fund, and the ways that this is going to help out the Vandal student athletes?
Yeah, there's definitely, we've had a number of different conversations over the last couple months with Jack and I starting back in June. I would say that the response of all of it has been very good. And there's been, there's definitely people who, they might be on the fence with NIL. Maybe they were an ex-college athlete and maybe they weren't able to be paid. So, I mean, I would say overall, the response is extremely positive. I'll be honest, I haven't had any conversation with anyone, that's either a Vandal or in Moscow that has been, really negative toward the whole collective.
When you were involved in this and I mean, like, hey, we know Idaho did not opt into the House settlement, which at the level Idaho's at, if you did not opt into the House settlement, then hey, just nothing really changed.
Yeah.
Were you at all before Idaho had, I mean, look, we knew because we talked about it on the show a while before Terry Gollick made it like official, that we knew Idaho was not opting into the House settlement. But in that, was there any time when you were, working on the website where, I don't know, you were unsure or uneasy about like, okay, well, if Idaho opts into the House settlement, what does that mean for us? Or I don't know, like, because that process, until it's official, it's, it's not official, but at the same time, until something changed, it has not. Did that, I don't know, I'm going to call it instability. That's probably a dramatic term, but did that like instability regarding like deadlines of opting in the House settlement, did that disrupt your work at all, or that impact your work at all?
I wouldn't say it necessarily interrupted anything. I'm a huge college sports fan. I was born into a sports family, so I have always been very up to date on everything that's going on in terms of athletics and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that anything really changed. We kind of just kept our foot to the pedal and kind of kept going. In the back of my mind, I always kind of thought Idaho wouldn't opt in. And when that came out, I wouldn't say that surprised me at all, but we definitely we kept going in the direction that we were. And we had our game plan, and we were going to try and follow that out as best as we could until nothing really changed.
So with you and Jack working together, I guess I don't know how exactly you guys have roles delineated, but like, hey, anytime there's a duo or a twosome, I'd say, people have different strengths. They have different focal points that they're going to be attached to. How would you say you and Jack happen to split up the workload?
Yeah, I'm kind of a computer guy. So I make a ton of Excel spreadsheets, and I've spent a ton of time in the library going through the archives of all the old athletics teams. So I have a huge database of all the old athletes back to the 50s that I spent a lot of time working on. And we have various things that both of us work on. Jack is really good at going out into the community. He has a lot of knows everyone here. So he's really good at going out, talking to people. I really enjoy collaborating with coaches and working on different types of projects behind the scenes. But we definitely do, whenever we are going out to do something, we're together. We call it Tommy Boy style. It's when we go out on the road, it's Tommy Boy, and we have a good time, get our job done. And, we try to have as much fun as we can. We spend a lot of time out in the community with local businesses and talking with them, seeing, what kind of partnerships we can build, those sorts of things. But I mean, it's really been a ton of fun, and we've had so much fun. It's been a great project so far.
So what you're saying, you're going on the record saying Jack is the sex appeal, you are the brains.
Yeah, we could say that.
Okay.
I mean, I think I look a lot better than him, but it's whatever.
Okay. In the comment section, Jason Mayer asks, will we see the collective guys in the parking lot on game days?
Absolutely. You'll see us out there before the game days, anytime there's a community event, we will be there. We try our best to go to everything and, kind of spread the message of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to build. And we try to be at everything.
And hey, Dallas, you're going to jump in a second. Just want to let listeners know, we fully expect periodically to have some cameo appearances by both by Tommy, Jack, or the two together throughout the season. So this is not the last you're going to hear from Tommy on this show. And well, Jack has not yet shown up. So Jack, you're on notice. So at some point, they're both going to be on later. Dallas, you were about to jump in.
Yeah. So just to recap, I see some folks coming into the show live late. So again, guys, Tommy Kimmel with the Idaho 1889 Collective doing the NIL collection to gain some money for the Vandal student athletes, just to be able to pay them in this new era of college football and college athletics in general. Tommy, I know the brain dead answer here to this question is, yeah, pay us, duh. How can people that want to help the 1889 Collective help, other than just donating? Obviously, are there other ways that people can get involved, help, even if it's just spreading the word of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, spreading the word helps a ton. If you hear anyone that if you hear anyone that's interested, feel free to connect them with us. I'm more than happy to throw my phone number, email in the chat. Anyone has any other questions. But, just spread the word and like tell people that, if we want to continue to build our athletic program here, this is a huge step for us. Having a strong collective, especially at, the FCS level with a school that did not opt in, is extremely huge. It's a huge part in, building that sustained success every year and investing into the future of Vandal athletics.
Yeah. So to echo what you're saying, and my understanding of NIL, especially for teams that do not opt in, not only does Idaho need to have a strong collective, Idaho has a stronger fan base than a lot of the teams who did not opt in. So now that you guys getting a website is a big deal. But having a website that can now like connect people anywhere to the collective, not only does Idaho need to have a strong collective, but Idaho has the type of support that you would expect now that you guys are able to get the word out and people know how to donate more easily. You should expect Idaho to have an advantage in NIL compared to a school like Idaho State. I mean, realistically, the only team that did not opt in the Big Sky for football that I think, you would talk about similarly with money to Idaho, or at least say it's different than Idaho, is like UC Davis. But like Idaho should probably be able to dominate Eastern Washington as far as like NIL collective, should be able to dominate schools like Portland State. So it's important we have good people running these. So Tommy, thank you. Jack, if you're listening, thank you. Dallas, do you have any other questions for Tommy?
I mean, none that are super Idaho specific. I could get into a whole bunch about just growing up here in the Spokane area. Tommy, your family is the Kimmel Athletic family, sports apparel provider that is gone. But my little claim to fame is back when I was in TV. I worked for KXLY, and we were doing the Kimmel Athletic Shining Star of the Week, highlighting.
Yep, I remember those. Always wanted to be on one. I never made it to high school to be on one, but I always wanted to. Oh,
and that guy, golf career at G Prep, probably could have made it on there at some point, but unfortunately,
I would have really hoped so. There were some times where I was like, walk home after a golf tournament. I think I would have been the Kimmel Shining Star this week.
That was those were good old days, man. Good old days. Yeah. Very glad to have you here with the Vandal family. Very glad to have you as an alumni, and extremely happy to have you helping out the 1889 collective.
So I got two things real quick. One, Jason Mayer in the comment section. I'd love to hear /see stories posted on the website about how donations specifically help the team /athlete. If I see my gift making an impact, I'm likely to donate more.
Yep, that's actually,
Look, take it away.
Yeah, that's actually something we're working on right now. Working with a couple of the athletes that we do have deals with that, getting some good stories out there about them. Because, I mean, it is really amazing, what this money does. You see the smile on these kids' faces, and it really does show that we are working towards something extremely positive. I mean, it helps a ton. And I mean, every cent counts. And it's like seeing the smiles on these kids' faces when, they might not necessarily know what meeting they're walking into. But when they do, and you see that smile on the face, it's pretty amazing.
Jason, great question. And obviously if you're making cameos, we will certainly find time to periodically go over that stuff if that's something you're able to do. Last thing before you go, we always do this with first time guests with
Let me jump right back in, Brian. I have one thing that I was getting my butt kissing going for. Jason brought it up, but there was one other thing I wanted to acknowledge. There's one thing I think we could do to improve the website. I'm not going to mention the school across state lines that may or may not maybe GOG as their NIL, but they have comments from their athletic director and coaches on there as well. I would love perfect. Yeah. I would love to see that. I hate even acknowledging that other school, but their website has been up for quite a while, and that was one of the first things I noticed was, wow, they've got coaches and the athletic director talking about how important this is. Like, this will gain credence for the people that don't know what this is. Like Jason saying, hey, if I see that it makes an impact, I'm likely to donate more. I think that the people that are not tied into Idaho athletics like we are, they're going to see that stuff. So it sounds like you're prepared. So Brian, without further ado, I'll let you.
Okay, with no notice, on purpose. First time guest. Last question is always. You turn the tables. It's called the reversal. It's time for you, Tommy, to ask us a question. It can be about any topic. It can be Idaho. It can be football. It can have nothing. I mean, Dallas is a big Nickelback fan. It can be about Nickelback. Really, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Well, I mean, in true Tubs at the Club fashion, I would have to ask both of you. You walk into the corner club. What tub are you ordering?
This is a question.
Yeah, what is it? Let's hear it.
Rainier.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, Rainier, man. That's the only tub I've ever ordered in my life.
As somebody who has somewhat unfortunately famously not ordered a tub from the club before, and I'm waiting for Mark to show up in the comment section to kick me in the nuts any second, I would have also gone with vitamin R, because I feel like that's just the classic thing you got to do. Jason Mayer in the comment section, Coors Light, red beer. I mean, Coors Light's also pretty standard, but I would have to go with the vitamin R answer as well, Brian.
Okay, Tommy, you need to answer your own question though.
I'm a tub of Coors Light guy or a tub of the Hungadunga Hazy IPA.
Ooh.
It's been my go-to lately.
There you go.
But Dallas, next time if I ever see you in the club, I'll buy you your first tub. How about that?
That, Tommy, you have a deal there. Yeah. We're shaking on it on the camera for anybody. Let's make it happen, man.
Deal.
All right, Tommy, thanks for your time, dude. And as always, go Vandals.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Look forward to coming back. Go Vandals, and let's support our athletes and V's up.
We'll catch you soon, Tommy. V's up. Go Vandals. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. We'll talk soon.
Speaking of, we might have a familiar-ish name jumping in there. Xander Eckles. For those of you who don't follow the special teams units quite as heavily as you should, that is the Vandal long snapper jumping in to say, thanks for all that you guys do. We appreciate it. I'm going to assume that he's talking about Brian and I and how great of a job we do, and not Tommy for coming on and getting the word out to get some of these guys some more money. In the comment section, Brian, very quickly, Crewhead 76, tub of Caribbean Crippler, and Captain 58 saying, I get nostalgic for Rainier. Vitamin R is not served in the sip.
That's why you don't live in the old Confederacy, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Among other reasons.
Better up here.
Speaking of things that are better up here, Dallas, you got something to tell us about.
I do, Brian. If you are looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, don't look past your backyard. Hughes River Expeditions has been Vandal-owned and operated since 1976, and they're ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. Enjoy a multi-day trip down the Middle Fork of the Salmon, the main Salmon River of no return, the Salmon River Canyons, or even the Selway, and you can check out special trips like one to see the Perseid meteor shower. Camp on pristine beaches, run amazing whitewater, hike scenic trails, spot wildlife, soak in beautiful natural hot springs, and fish the most remote stretches of river in the entire United States. Just bring your clothes and HRE is going to handle the rest. Grab a paddle, catch dinner, and ride the bull all throughout the Gem State. Call them now at 406-540-4450. Again, 406-540-4450. Or check them out at hughesriver.com. Tell Colin that the Tubbs guys sent you.
And now the second half of the show, Martin, you and again, that well-manicured look, you have to stay in here. And got to say, Martin, sometimes you're soft-spoken. This is not the time to be that. So if that is who you are, you need to be someone else for the next few minutes. Martin has been our eyes in Moscow. He's been able to take, let's say, some vacation time, you might call it. And he's seen quite a few of fall camp practices. So, Martin, I guess I'm going to give you the wheel for the direction you want to go. You've been at the practices. I guess first question, what stood out the most to you so far?
I think for me the big one is they haven't really lost a step or pep or energy with the new coach. It's all the same. They haven't let's just say they haven't lost a step. Their energy is still there. All the players are supporting each other. They're not. Everything just seems like they're flying around faster, and it's a fun time to be at those practices. It's not like, and I'm not dogging on Eck. This is even the people before Eck. Let's just say, like, it just seems like a fun time. Like, even though I'm like one of the people there, it just seems like a fun time to be there and watch practice.
So with that said, we got to one. It's good to hear that that's the kind of the energy, which is before the season. I mean, after spring ball, when we talk to our sources, that's similar to what we'd heard before. Is energy is great with the new coaching staff. So look, hey, Ford made it clear in many media appearances prior that Joshua Wood is he's going to be the number one quarterback. We said back in April, Joshua Wood was going to be number one quarterback. It became social media official. Joshua Wood will be the starting quarterback for Idaho this season. Martin, in practice, what have you seen from Joshua Wood?
I don't know how to say it other than like he's probably the best. Like every year, every year that with since starting with Texas, it's only been like what 4 years now, 3 years now,
Fourth.
four. Like it just seems like the quarterback play just seems to keep taking a step up every single year, and I don't feel like people are not going to be. If Vandal fans are clamoring for Lane, I'm going to be honest with them right now. They're fucking stupid, and I think they need to get themselves checked. I think they need to get themselves checked out. Like Wood brings something to Idaho that I have not seen before, and I don't know how to describe it other than just the dude's athletic. He has like a great. He has the zip on his passes is something that is like I. That's like one of the first things I noticed is the dude can throw the football. And it doesn't float to the wide receivers. It gets there and it gets there quickly.
The
In
other
the
thing,
comment section, Captain 58, we have Wood. Cox and Wood are going to give teams a hard time.
well, that is what we're going to be hoping we get to talk a lot about. I'm a huge fan of talking about Wood and Cox. That's mostly what I do off camera.
Hashtag
Martin,
Mythos.
you also like, hey, just in our messaging, look, we knew this. If you looked at box scores from Joshua Wood at Fresno State, most of the games he played, he was a running threat. He didn't throw a ton of passes other than his start in the Potato Bowl game. What have you seen from Wood as a runner?
He looks it's going to be a factor this year. It's not going to be like the quarterback zone, whatever they called it, with like that they ran with Vonnie and they ran with Vonnie against like Montana State. It's not going to be stuff like that. That it's going to be it'll be stuff that is specifically designed for him that'll actually make sense and not like it'll be there'll be actual design plays and it'll be more than just one play. There's a lot to be seen. I think there's a lot of things that Vandal fans can be and should be excited for with Wood.
You're saying that Joshua Wood adds dynamic to offense that Idaho has not really had in the last 3-4 years, which is he's a legitimate threat with his legs. And you expect like Wood beating teams with his legs is now going to be part of what Idaho does offensively. I know in an interview posted this week, Thomas Ford, he said at this point he thinks Idaho's offense looks like it's probably going to be more explosive than what Idaho had last year, which, hey, everyone's trying to comb through, any piece of evidence you can to just get an idea of what Idaho's going to look like pre-August 30th against Washington State. I'm going to say I like everything I've heard about Idaho offensively, like what you've seen now, Joshua Wood, Thomas Ford just talking about his belief that Idaho's just going to be a more explosive team with the ball this year. And one of the things Matt Linehan said in his interview, which was posted on the Idaho Athletics YouTube page, which if you guys don't have that bookmarked, I don't know what's wrong with you. Idaho's doing some great work with outreach and making sure these interviews are posted. Idaho's an astoundingly easy team to follow if you follow that page and us. Matt Linehan talked in his interview about essentially Idaho likely having leaning a little bit more into like intermediate passes, short passes than we'd seen the last couple of years. That doesn't mean there's not going to be play action to stretch the field as well, but that specifically like what may change with Idaho in the pass game is you're just going to see a more diverse set of play calls. What have you seen in regards to the pass game from the practices you've been at?
I'll be 100% honest. Passing game's not my forte. Like from what I can see, sitting, like I don't go on the turf, but like from where I'm standing on the paved path right outside the weight room, uh, it looks. I think there's definitely going to be a lot more chunk. There might be a few more chunk plays with some of the receivers they have, with mainly being like ECM and stuff. There's still
Emerson
going to be
Cortez
those.
Menjivar, for those who are not
Yes,
familiar.
yeah. There's still going to be the stuff like those wide receiver screens that we saw with Hamper. It's going to be the same kind of, as far as like passing tree and the route tree goes. I think it'll be similar. Maybe like there might be some slight differences to what we saw last year.
And the question everyone asks about. I mean, we're relatively early in fall camp. They haven't. I think their first scrimmage is tomorrow, and then I know there's a second scrimmage on the 19th, which I will be at. How's the offensive line look to you?
They look good. They definitely. For me, it's hard to tell. Like you can definitely tell they have a lot more. I wouldn't say angst is the right word to use, but they definitely have like Ensley is it. The coaching's working. You can definitely tell they have some more pop to them. They do. I'm trying to think of here. They. Something what to say now. They from the practice, I think the 5 or 6 practices that I've been to, it's been the same consistent. It's been consistent, the same people every time. There's been no swapping of people out. I think if I was to guess, like the starting 5 from the practice is probably going to be who it's going to be in the game.
And the starting 5 in the practice you're referencing are.
Gosh, I think I typed that to you.
Yeah, you
I already
did.
forgot positions. It was
You had Vleem at left tackle.
Yeah, Vleem as a party, Vining. Oh gosh, Leon Evans at right guard, and then I want to say it was Keegan Henson at right tackle.
Yep, bingo.
And you're saying that group of 5 has been pretty stable.
Yeah, it's been pretty stable. There hasn't been any real changes to me or anything that I've seen at all out of them. And I know there's been like no swapping of people in or out. So far, it's been a pretty consistent 5 for at least the six practices that I have seen that have not been fully padded practices. Granted, it's probably going to be the same for padded practices, but just want to throw that little note in there.
Which is relatively, it's an interesting mix of those 5 because like you have the upperclassmen like a Leighton Vining. He's listed as a junior. We know Nate as a party. He's a senior. Vleem's a redshirt junior. But then you're talking about Keegan Henson. He's a redshirt sophomore listed at 290 right now. And then
he had some playing time last year, a little some spot time here and there.
He did, which I suppose might mean the surprise is Leon Evans, redshirt freshman right now, listed at
Leon Evans, by the way.
But we have a O-line update. We've essentially talked about the offense. One thing I want to add is I know Nate Thomas has had some time, not in pads. Coach Ford talked about that in an interview posted yesterday. He said he's not really worried about Nate Thomas being healthy for the first game. He expects him to be healthy. It's just Nate Thomas is an upperclassman. He's played a lot of college football. He's not a guy who really needs the same amount of reps.
Some time off if he needs to.
Well, he's had an injury history. Plus, at the same time, he's an upperclassman. He's done this before. Mm-hmm. He knows how to fit in. He knows how to contribute. He's contributed at both a Missouri Valley Football Conference school, South Dakota, and at Idaho. The dude knows what he's doing. He can take a few days off, and it's less of a deal than a true freshman coming in. But we've hit the offense pretty hard. Martin, what are your defensive takeaways so far?
They're going to be really fucking good this year, I think. I know have been going full speed this year, full speed so far that I've watched. So some caveats there, but like they look really good. The defense is flying around. Court Dennison is with the way he coaches at practice, it scares me a little bit, but it's not in like the I want to run away and hide in like a corner of a dome, maybe by perchance. But it's he's got that team playing, and they look like they are going to be really good this year.
Which is interesting. I'm going to ask some position questions, but I say that's interesting because in all the questions we've had for you, Martin, that was clearly the one where you I'm going to say you came alive the most, like just talking about the defense itself. Reporting out of the Lewiston Tribune, also just what Ford said in his most recent interview is we've absolutely had some times where the offense has gotten the better of the defense on the day, which is a pretty big step up from some of the stuff we saw in spring ball, which we told you guys in spring ball, like just take a Xanax. If the offense looks astounding, it means the defense sucks back then. Offensively, Idaho's making progress. And I think that Joshua Wood's just going to be a game changer for Idaho. If he's 80% of what we hope he can be, he's going to be one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the conference. So to me, that's just a huge deal. But hitting the defensive part again, which you said, hey, Dennison stands out. And just do you think the defense is going to be strong? When you say that, like, hey, think about the three different levels we talk about the defense. We got, a D-line, linebackers often just talk to us about as the front 7 and the secondary. Which of those areas to you seems like the relative strength based off what you've seen?
I think it's got to be D-line just because they have returning like good Big Sky contributors in Krotzer and Brown. You bring in someone who's contributed pretty well at I can't remember the exact conference, but and someone like Parham, and then they have some other that's what I feel the most confident in. Not to say the other 2 are not going to be bad, but I guess the positional group that I feel most feel really good about.
Yeah, I expect, hey, you talked about Parham, but a couple other names I just expect we're definitely going to hear a handful of times throughout the year is Maurice Himes transfer from University of Washington. We know Matthias McLean from Priest River, Idaho is a guy who's been working his way up the depth chart over the last, handful of years. I think linebacker, it's just going to take a minute for that to sort itself out. One, because Isaiah King has sat out a little bit, just to get himself healthy. It has sounded like Dylan Lane, who he saw some time as a starter with Jason Eck, then, kind of lost his spot, but looks like he's worked his way back up.
Yeah.
And he sounds like if he's not starting, he's absolutely in a rotation with starters to get quite a bit
he's
of reps.
Definitely him. Oh gosh, I know I wrote it. I know I typed it somewhere. It's been usually for talking linebackers, like when there has been, let's say this, when everybody's been healthy, it's been King, Cornelson, and Lane, with Cornelson being like the Mike. Like they all that's what it's been, and they've been pretty good. Other than that, it's been also players like Wayne Queen, I believe, and another local product that's Vandal fans are probably gonna hear a lot of this fall is Cruz Heburn. He's been getting a lot of reps in practice this year with the ones mixed in. So those are some of the names to look out for.
So I do want to ask Martin, Cruz Heburn, what are you seeing out of him? He's got such a weird and interesting story going from Idaho to LCSC baseball back to Idaho. He played in, I think, every game last year. Was mostly a special teams guy who picked up a couple tackles. But how has he looked so far?
So far, so good. It's kind of, I think from his size, like I haven't seen much. And maybe this is me, like with how I pay attention to things. I haven't seen maybe a lot of coverage stuff out of him that makes me think he stands out there. To me, he kind of fits that profile as bringing some CFB 26 references here, a thumper archetype, if you will.
Beautiful.
With linebackers. So he definitely he'll be more of a heavy hitter than a coverage guy, I think. I could definitely be wrong, but that's just my thoughts.
Captain 58 in the comment section saying, crazy to have one lane leave for the other lane to step up. Great story for that family. I hope Dylan tears it up this year. That makes a few of us who feel that way. Martin, so, I mean, we've asked you quite a few position group takeaways. I guess, one, anything else you have not hit on that you feel pretty good, that you feel you've clearly seen in practice so far?
Nothing really. I think, and maybe this is maybe just because there's only a couple of segments in a practice. And not that I'm worried about it. I don't think the only position group that I'm not like 100% think is set is probably DBs. And that's just because there's been some like people, maybe they're just trying out people in different like groups to kind of see what it's like for that group, what it's like for that players to get them some reps with the ones for that segment. But I don't think that's set, but I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. I think they do have a lot more people that can play contributors in that group. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, and I mean, of the any position group you look at for Idaho defensively, the one that is for for a fact completely changed over is defensive backs, where hey, we got a combination of transfers plus guys who underclassmen from last year, but no matter what like combination you put in, Martin, all of those guys would be new to starters roles at Idaho. So
Yeah.
not exactly shocking to me that what you just said there. Had gotten other observations that Zach Lustig, Portland State transfer, and Tim Jackson, transfer from College Canyons, they're both seeing time as ones, kind of splitting some of the reps as ones with the safeties at this point. And then if you guys were on our last episode, you heard Thomas Ford say, hey, Zach Lustig from Portland State, he came here, had some injuries at Portland State. Ford says he's at 100%. So yes, we're going to learn more about the secondary as practices evolve. Do have a question in the comment section, Martin? Maybe you can answer about Cox, specifically Jake Cox, tight end. Crewhead 76 saying, "How's Cox looking?" I'm assuming he actually wants player observations, not the observations we'd be asking about.
I mean, I answered this question in the comment section, guys.
I mean, to be honest, though, it's been kind of. I think he's the number one guy. It's average. I'm not gonna make any jokes because I don't want to disrespect Jake like that. But like he's the number one tight end, and I think what we all know he can do, which is blocking, is probably gonna be his number one thing. Yes, he can catch, but I think it's clearly him, then Hoffman. I think it's Hoffman.
Yeah, Gabe Hoffman, Eastern Michigan transfer.
Yeah. It's those two, and then it's probably gonna be a Bogan, or I'm forgetting the guy's name from the signing they had from Basha High School, I believe it was, out of Arizona. Him, I think it's Cox and Hoffman, then it's the rest. And that's not like a disrespect to them. It's just there's
Mason Colmer is the freshman from Basha High School.
Yeah. I think it's those two, and then there's not a steep drop off, but you can tell there is a small but noticeable drop off after those two.
Okay.
I honestly would be surprised if Kinch gets time at like tight end just because of his blocking at some points during the season.
Well, look, as we have more practice updates, we'll of course bring them. Dallas has something he wants to close the show out with, so which I'll let Dallas get to in a second. But I will be at the scrimmage on August 19th for sure, which also means our episode that week, that's going to be a little bit odd scheduling. That's in a couple weeks. Next week, we have our Big Sky Conference as a whole preview. And the week after that, that's where we have our Idaho preview for the season. And then suddenly we're talking WSU. And the closer we get to August 30th, guys, the better and better I feel about this Idaho team, and the better and better I feel about that week one matchup, where I got to tell you, like, hey, gun to my head, if I had to pick quarterbacks between Joshua Wood and I don't remember the dude, like Eckhouse, I think that's the last name.
Eckhouse is the
Eckhouse, yeah.
Leader, yeah.
100 times out of 100, I'd take Joshua Wood. Absolutely think Idaho has an advantage there. So I think there's energy to the WSU game that people might not understand. And again, the more I talk about Idaho football, the more I dig into to rosters and, get practice observations from, guys like Martin, guys like other people we have who are watching practice, the better and better I feel about where we're going. But that's all I have for today. But hey, Dallas, before we sign off, you had something you wanted to hit on, so the floor is yours.
Yep. So before we get to the little bit of sad news here, everybody, again, Idaho1889collective.com to support the NIL collective and help Vandal student athletes get more money in their pockets to keep them around. Patreon.com/Tubs of the Club if you like what we're doing. I did want to at least acknowledge Dan Cazetto, former Vandal player and coach, passed away on Thursday last week at the age of 70. He was a tight end, linebacker, and I think a guard back in the late 70s. And he graduated, and after graduation became a GA and then an assistant coach underneath Davich, Erickson, Gilbertson, and John L. Smith. He was the special teams coordinator here for 5 or 6 years, and then he was the offensive coordinator on the John Freeze team where Freeze won the Walter Payton Award and the Vandals won the Big Sky. So he was a coach. He coached Mark Schlereth was one of his guys. Eric Yarber, who maybe not as big of a career in the NFL, but did win a Super Bowl as a player and as a coach. So just big shout out to Coach Cause and everybody who knew him. He was a guy from Spokane, coached at Arizona State, Oregon State, Washington. Like, it was just very, very well known here. And then obviously had spent a good 10 plus years with the Vandals, including graduating here. So rest in peace to Coach Cause.
That said, guys, we're not that far from football season, Dallas. By the way, well said about Coach Cause. And we don't usually end shows on notes like this, but hey, we do what we need to, and we acknowledge Vandals when we need to.
On a positive note, Crewhead76 in the comment section. Cazetto was a stud. Loved that guy.
I can't wait to see you all next week. I'd want to do a minor spoiler alert for our Big Sky preview. We always do a snake draft, and I'm not going to change that. But I think we may need to be a little creative with just the world we're in. Trying to project rosters. I mean, if, for example, like Idaho lost D lineman Josh McCone, or Macon, however you say his last name, he's no longer on the team. Not that this isn't like an earth-shattering loss. I'm just giving an example of we're still not that far from the season, and not every single roster is 100% set. That's just the world we live in, so we'll react accordingly. But I always like our snake draft because it always fucks up what one of us wanted the conference to be. And I think that's
this year, so I can pick the obvious choice.
Well, we can tee you up with the obvious choice, but we start from the bottom and work our way up. But you know what? Let's wait till next week, Martin. We'll let whatever the hell the obvious thing is you're talking about. We'll let you absolutely take that one over next week.
And I for sure Dallas knows what I have, but he also knows I have a couple surprises for Brian next week.
Yep.
At some point, I'll upload my Tub Short with Cody Hawkins doing Tub Shorts episodes, something I plan on doing throughout this year where it's not really announced. It's just stuff that doesn't quite make the show. We just want to give you guys something extra. We'll get there when we get there. See you next week. Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.